Sure.
it's, yeah.
Um, Hi, everybody. I know you've been waiting for a Tony's take, probably with bated breath, as always. So I thought we would kind of give you an initial idea of where we are with negotiations. I'm talking with Ed, who's also on the negotiating team, Ed Evans. I'm sure you're all familiar if you're watching this. And wanted to first give you a little bit of a bird's eye view of what we're trying to accomplish with the financial part of negotiations. And then I want to ask Ed a couple of questions because he had a meeting today with one of the members of the universities or the administration's negotiating team, um, the head of HR, Sarah Kelly. So I think our goal, and Ed, chime in here. I think when we first entered negotiations, we were putting this off so much that we just kind of weren't thinking about it a whole lot. And I think everyone here who's been here at UA for longer than 5 years knows that we've not had a substantial pay raise or any kind of pay raise in the last 7 years, except for the small percentage one that um, President Miller gave us. So I think we were thinking, or at least I was thinking, what's the raise going to be? What's the raise going to be? What percentage? What percentage? And that's, I was getting all these numbers from other universities. Where has their raises been? And personally, I didn't think a whole lot about the financial end as a package, where there's the front end, the part we see in our paycheck is the raise. But maybe what we don't realize, or at least I didn't, is that we're not going to have the exact same benefits package. And so, similar to, the shit show of the world right now, benefits are also going to be more expensive. And I think we've had really pretty strong benefits, but that's going to, and I think we'll continue to have strong benefits, but the price of those benefits are going to go up. So as we started thinking about that, I think we had to temper our own expectations and think through, at minimum, our goal is that nobody at the university at the end of pay plus benefits is in any kind of red, right? So that no one has an overall compensation decrease or cut when you include both whatever raise we may get with whatever the cost of benefits are. Would you agree?
That's exactly right, Tony. And I think everybody's aware that the university is struggling financially, right? Hopefully everybody has taken some time to read the state audit and can appreciate what we're dealing with as a university. And of course, we can talk forever about why that is the case, but the reality is that the university has to move toward budget neutrality here in the next few years. So that creates a constraint on what we're going to be able to get in terms of the total compensation.
Yeah. And Ed, just to remind people, with Senate Bill 1, there was an external force, the legislation, that has now limited our ability to really have a strong negotiating power at the table. And that is the ability to strike. And I think without that, you're seeing a lot of upheaval in negotiations around the state, quite honestly. And I don't know how you feel, but I feel as though the administrative negotiating team also has the goal of trying to ensure that nobody is going to be in the red after a compensation kind of change moving forward. Would you agree with that?
I agree wholeheartedly, right? And so, I think even though Senate Bill 1 removed our ability to strike, we still have options when it comes to the negotiation process. If we can't come to an agreement, then there are steps that can be taken to kind of arbitrate or figure out a reasonable solution. But I don't think either side wants to go to that point. we will if we have to, but
Sure.
we don't want to go there. And like you just said, I feel pretty confident that the upper administration wants to make sure that no one is going to take a cut in their total compensation. That appears to be the case.
Yeah. So let's get into it a little bit. I think it's fair to say that the administration has um, showed us their hand a little bit, gave us kind of some parameters around what they think they could offer. Um, and we've been sitting on that for a couple of weeks, kind of doing our own number crunching to make sure that that offer doesn't result in an overall pay cut or compensation cut for people. And again, by compensation cut, we mean salary plus benefits, and whether that whole package, what the increase of benefits is going to cost us out of pocket, whether that number is higher than whatever pay raise we may or may not get. So I think as we've been working on that, Ed has been doing a lot of number crunching. His spreadsheet savviness is incredible. It kind of both increases his nerd value and decreases it at the same time. It's like interesting.
Mostly
Yeah,
decreases it.
yeah. Well, let's not get carried away, Ed. I'm sure you have an engineering shirt on right now to go back to nerd value. So you met with Sarah today to make sure that the way that we were trying to calculate things, or you were trying to calculate things, was um, accurate at least. And would you say that it was accurate? It is accurate. Are you and Sarah at least figuring things out in the same way?
I believe so. I mean, the calculations, if you want to call them that, are not all that complicated, but there's just a lot of information to make sure we've got put into the spreadsheet, if you will, correctly. And we did some checking, and our numbers seem to be very close, if not exactly the same. And I want to point out in this instance that the administration has been very open with sharing the information that they have, the data that they have, and that's been helpful in trying to come up with solutions or models for how to deal with the compensation.
Yeah. And so you and Sarah met today. You did some, I don't know, I think modeling is probably an overstatement, but you did a couple of the calculations with each other. You're making sure you're on the same page. Do you have any general sense of whether we are at a place where we could roll out what this package is, or do you feel like we're still in the kind of weeds of trying to figure it out to make sure no one is taking that compensation cut?
I think we're close. I don't think we're there yet, but I think we've now got the information we need to start coming up with a proposal that we could talk about.
Okay. And do you feel as though at the end of the day, is it fair to say both sides are are working towards ensuring that no one's in the red?
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's all. I mean, honestly, I don't want to put out any more information and then it change. So I think that's basically all we could say at this point. Anything else you feel like you'd like to add to this?
I don't think so. You covered all of the major points that we wanted to get out, I think.
Yeah. And just as a reminder to people, we basically have the entire contract negotiated, other than the two articles on the financial end, so Articles 16 and 17. And then we also have kind of the two, uh, Article 13 on retention, promotion, and tenure, which some of that we're not allowed to negotiate. So we're trying to figure out how to do that. And then we still have Article 29 that I think is in draft form now that we'll start hammering out. So I think those are the only four articles left. I don't know how you feel, but I feel optimistic that by the time the end of our contract is, so June 30th, I think we'll have a new contract. I don't think we'll be without one unless something
I
changes
agree.
drastically. Okay. All right, great. Well, thanks, Ed. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Tony.
All right. If I could figure out how to actually just stop the recording, that would be incredible. Here we go. Okay, bye now.